Blender texturing tools have come a long way over the past few years. It is now more powerful with steady updates in version 3 and 4, and the exciting new features that landed in Blender 5. But is it enough? Well, in this video, we're gonna take a look at what improved recently in texture painting, shader nodes, materials, UDIM support, and the overall workflow in the last couple of years. Before we continue, I want to let you guys know that the super high market is going through its biggest sale of the year. So if you want to get some add-ons, texture packs, courses, you name it, it is the best time to do so. And if you don't know where to start, I have in the description of this video a list of some of the best add-ons and courses out there. Without further ado, let's jump right in. Blender's texture painting workflow has seen significant polish in the last couple of years. One big change was the overhaul of the brush system. Blender 4.3 introduced a new brush asset workflow, unifying brush management across sculpting and painting modes. And now, brushes are managed via the asset browser, with an essentials library of over 130 preset brushes available by default, which is great. This makes it much easier to organize and switch brushes for painting and sculpting, without manually appending them each time. I also have to mention that the brush selection UI got a facelift as well, so picking up the right brush or texture stamp kinda feels intuitive now. Behind the scenes, developers have also worked on performance and stability for painting. Viewport rendering of textures in EEVEE got better, and with EEVEE Next in Blender 5, real-time previews are even closer to final cycles quality. This means when you paint on a model with complex materials, you will see more accurate lighting, reflections, and even rudimentary GI in real time. On a practical side, the team has been fixing long-standing annoyances like undo bugs and issues with painting across UDIM tiles. There has been a polishing painting experience initiative to iron out these kinks, so things like stencils and canvas interactions behave more predictably. However, it is worth noting that Blender still lacks a true layer-based system. I mean natively, because you can do it with add-ons. So you can paint directly on texture map or color attributes, which is fine for basic work, but not as flexible as something such as Substance Painter with its layer stack. To be fair, Blender devs have actually acknowledged this, and even had plans for a layer texturing system. But as of 2025, it hasn't materialized yet. For now, artists compensate by using multiple image texture slots with mixed nodes, or by resorting to add-ons that simulate layers. As you can see, this is just a workaround, but it does mean more setup compared to simply adding a new layer in Photoshop or maybe Substance Painter. But the good news is that the foundation work, like the new brush system, and the paint mode unification, I would say is laying the groundwork for future improvements. Speaking of paint mode unification, Blender historically split texture paint, vertex paint, and sculpt paint into separate modes, which could be confusing. And recently there has been a movement toward bringing these together. For example, vertex color painting got integrated into sculpt mode with advanced brushes a while back, and the development team has discussed aligning the tools in addition to settings between image painting and sculpt color painting. Before we continue, let me take a moment and tell you about one of the best 3D sculpting, texture painting, and retopology software to grab during this deal season. 3D Code is one of the only 3D software that still offers a perpetual license, along with subscription and rent-to-own option. You can start using it right now with a 30-day trial, then keep using it for free in the learning mode, which gives you full tools with limited export. So whether you are professional or hobbyist, 3D Code works perfectly alongside any major 3D software, offering strong sculpting, retopology, UV editing, and both PBR and hand-painted texturing. And since we are in the Black Friday season, 3D Code is offering a special discount of €100 off the permanent license, bringing the price down to just €279 during the sale. With the new 2025 release, 3D Code brings improvements to the UI and overall user experience, along with new tools like soft booleans, infinite depth, and the updated surface area tools that make it much easier to place repeating objects uniformly or randomly on masked surfaces. You also get the new node room for building PBR shaders, which can be baked to a material layer, in addition to better reality capture integration for cleaner photogrammetry results. Another useful addition is the updated Blender app link, which makes sending models between Blender and 3D Code much smoother. With this 2025 release, it now supports Blender version 4.3, 4.4, and 4.5. So what are you waiting for? Click the link in the description and start your trial of 3D Code today. Alongside painting, Blender's shader nodes and material system have gotten a ton of love recently, making procedural texturing and material creation more powerful. One of the highlights is the overhaul of the principled BSDF. You see, in Blender 4, the principled BSDF was revamped for more physical accuracy and flexibility. The internal layer in order was adjusted. For example, the clear coat layer is now calculated on top of the emission, so it is much easier to create materials, like a lit-up screen with a glassy protective coating. The sheen component used for cloth or dusty looks was improved with a new microfiber model, so you can even use it to simulate fine dust on a surface. The principled shaders also gained new controls, such as specular tint, IOR input, and diffuse roughness, giving you more nuanced control without complex node setup. Blender 4.3 also introduced a dedicated metallic shader node. This metallic BSDF lets you define metallics using measured physical parameters, like index of refraction and extinction for specific metal types, which is great for realism if you're into shading things like gold, copper, etc. It basically bridges realistic artistic and physical accuracy for metals, and it works consistently in both cycles and EEVEE. The hair BSDF saw an upgrade too. There is a new Huang model for hair fibers that supports elliptical cross-sections, improving realism for human hair rendering, though it is a bit niche, for general texturing, but it shows that Blender is pushing for better material simulation as well. And if you are a fan of procedural texturing, there has been noise and texture node improvements too. Blender 4 added extra parameters to those noise and Voronoi texture nodes, including higher detail levels and more input controls to vary the patterns. This means you can achieve finer and less repetitive procedural textures, which is great for breaking up tiling or creating natural-looking materials without needing extra plugins. On the workflow side, the material assignment and preview process is largely the same, but has benefited from the general UI polish. The Material Properties panel and shader editor didn't undergo dramatic changes, like consistent widget styles, better drag and drop of assets, and a snappier viewport make working with materials feel smoother. The asset browser is a huge help here as well. You can create a library of materials and node groups, then drag and drop them onto objects. This essentially gives you a simple material library feature, which was super limited in older Blender versions. If you texture a lot of models with the same materials, the asset browser integration can speed things up dramatically. All that being told, Blender's shader and material system in 2025 is very robust. You have modern PBR workflows with principled BSDF, now on par with industry standards, and support for advanced shading tricks, and the flexibility of node-based materials. The flip side is that Blender's power is node-centric, so making complex materials means diving into the node networks. As you can imagine, this offers a lot of flexibility, but it can be a bit technical compared to the more guided layer-based approach of software such as Substance Painter. And for those dealing with high-resolution texturing and UDIM workflows, Blender has you covered. Well, mostly. You see, Blender added UDIM support a few years back. It was actually there since the 2.8 era, and in 2025, it is standard part of the software. In Blender, you can actually create UDIM grids and load multi-tile image sets easily. The shader editor's image texture node has a UDIM mode. Just point it to your tile sequence, and Blender will treat it as one virtual texture. This is essential for film quality assets or game characters that might have 8x8 UDIM tiles at 4K each, for example. Blender's painting tools do allow painting onto UDIM tiles as well, though it is an area that's seen more growing pains. You can paint on a model that uses UDIM textures, but some users have seen many issues with painting across tile boundaries or managing which tile is active for painting. The development team has actually noted a few UDIM-related bugs, like undo problems when painting across tiles, and made fixing these a priority. In practice, painting on UDIMs in Blender works, but it might not feel as seamless as in a dedicated painting software such as Mari or Substance. Typically you would paint one tile at a time, since each tile is its own image. Blender will bleed strokes over the UDIM edges, that is for continuity, if set up correctly, but careful setup and occasionally manual image switching might be needed. The good news is that for using UDIMs, as opposed to painting them from scratch, Blender is very comfortable. You can import textures from Substance or Mari and hook them up without any trouble, and the viewport will display all the tiles in full resolution. Performance-wise, dealing with lots of high-res textures has gotten better. Blender 5 actually improves support for compressed textures and massive files. This likely means it can utilize GPU formats more effectively, that is, so your VRAM isn't as easily overwhelmed by many 4K and 8K images. It also ties into Blender's push for handling massive projects. And here's the thing. Blender 5 introduced support for large binary buffers, allowing blend files to include huge data, like heavy geometry or large texture sets, without failing. But here's the kicker. You will still need decent hardware for extremely high-resolution texturing, but the software is much less of a bottleneck now, which I would say is a less concerning of a problem, since you are now in control. Another subtle improvement is in UV editing and syncing. The Blender UV editor has gotten some attention, like fixes to keep the UV section in sync with mesh selection, and the overall stability improvements. It is not a flashy update, but if you do a lot of UV layout tweaking or bake maps in Blender, these small enhancements make the experience smoother. There is also ongoing work on things like UV snapping and packing algorithms, though for complex packing, many artists still use external tools and add-ons. I would say generally speaking, Blender can comfortably handle multi-texture and high-detail assets in 2025. You can rely on UDIMs for detail, and you will not be finding the software to load or display huge textures, at least most of the time. But just remember, if you plan on painting elaborate UDIM sets entirely in Blender, it might require a bit of patience and careful workflow management. The capacity is there, but it is not quite as optimized as specialized texturing software. So you can comfortably say that Blender is not replacing Substance or Mari anytime soon, especially when it comes to sheer texturing convenience and advanced features. And here's the reality. Many 3D artists still prefer to do texturing in those dedicated tools, then bring the results into Blender, simply because it is faster and easier for complex stuff. But the good news, Blender keeps improving, and many of its limitations have known workarounds or solutions in progress. And there you have it, guys. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Also, please subscribe to this channel to receive more videos like this. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.